You are watching Inside the Americas, coming up in today's show. Donald Trump still not conceding the presidential election, with Joe Biden calling it an embarrassment. We'll look at what could happen if he refuses to go. Then the Biden administration brings with it two unique spouses. Joe's wife, Professor Jill Biden, would be the first First Lady to keep her full-time job, and Kamala Harris's partner, Douglas Emhoff, is the first ever second gentleman. And what are the rest of the Americas saying about the U.S. presidential election? Reactions from joyful to ambivalent to nothing at all on the way. I'm Jeannie Godula. Donald Trump is still refusing to concede the U.S. presidential election, even though the results say Joe Biden is the clear winner. That means the Biden transition team is blocked from moving into federal office space or getting government money to hire staff. Now, this is usually just a formality, but this time around, the Trump appointee who heads the federal office charged with recognizing election results has still yet to do so. If the president continues to dig in his heels, it could mean anything but a peaceful transition of power.
It's a tradition in the world's longest-standing democracy, the transition of power between two presidents on Inauguration Day, as seen here in 2016 when Barack Obama peacefully handed over the reins to Donald Trump. But Joe Biden's arrival at the White House on the 20th of January 2021 is shaping up to be very different. The transition between two presidents is steeped in tradition. Though legally speaking, the Presidential Transition Act of 1963 is meant to facilitate the arrival of a new administration. For that to happen, the General Services Administration, in charge of managing federal agencies, has to give the green light for freeing up funding for the president-elect and his team, worth up to $10 million. But GSA Chief Emily Murphy, appointed by Trump in 2017, is holding off triggering an official transition of power as the incumbent president refuses to recognize his defeat.
GSA ascertains the apparent successful candidate once a winner is clear based on the process laid out in the Constitution.
This means Biden's team is still largely in the dark as it prepares for the president-elect's first day in the White House. The incoming administration has managed to set up a coronavirus task force, but it has been denied access to federal agencies and strategic information.
I just called Governor Clinton over in Little Rock and offered my congratulations. He did run a strong campaign.
No modern presidential candidate has refused to concede since formal concessions became election custom in 1896. Nor has an outgoing president refused to attend their successor's inauguration. In 1992, George Bush Sr. lost his re-election bid to Bill Clinton. The outgoing president left his successor a letter of support on Inauguration Day, cementing another modern presidential tradition.
You will be our president when you read this note. I wish you well. I wish your family well. Your success now is our country's success.
Trump, however, is not known for maintaining presidential norms and has launched legal action to contest Biden's victory.
As you just heard there, Joe Biden is plowing ahead, making the fight against the pandemic his top priority. And the numbers in the U.S. are the worst in the world. Hospitalizations from COVID-19 hit a record high this week, almost 62,000. And there are now more than 10 million confirmed cases of coronavirus in America, averaging 100,000 new cases per day. 240,000 Americans have died from COVID-19 since the pandemic began. Now, one key state many Americans are watching these days is Georgia. Joe Biden has a 12,000 vote lead there, but Republicans are still pushing for a hand recount before certifying the results. Georgia is even more important to Republicans as there are two races still in play for the U.S. Senate. The runoffs being held in January could determine which party will control the Senate as of next year.
Joy and relief for Georgia Democrats after Joe Biden scored a slim majority there last week. And once again, it's all riding on results coming out of the Peach State in the race for the Senate. Both of Georgia's 2 senatorial seats are up for grabs in a runoff, with Republicans David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler defending their posts against Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock on January 5th, after no candidate secured the 50% needed. In Washington, the Democrats are just 2 Senate seats short of a 50-50 split. In the event of that sort of tie-break, jurisdiction falls to the country's vice president, who in January next year will be Kamala Harris, currently serving as a Democratic senator herself. Likely to rule in favor of her own camp, Harris spent the final days before the election canvassing in Georgia, highlighting major issues for local voters like the Black Lives Matter movement and, given the coronavirus crisis sweeping the nation, access to health care, something Jon Ossoff has also made a central part of his campaign.
This is why these Senate runoffs are so vital. Because if the Supreme Court strikes down the Affordable Care Act, then it will be up to Congress to decide how to legislate such that pre-existing conditions remain covered. And if Mitch McConnell and David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler are determining the course of policy, then they will allow the Supreme Court's ruling to stand and to undermine those protections for pre-existing conditions.
It's been 20 years since one of Georgia's seats went blue, yet sustained campaigning from Democrats like Stacey Abrams has galvanized voters there, and some predict that the state's recent nudge to the left could be a decisive one for the country.
A lighter note for you now, and when Joe Biden is inaugurated January 20th, his wife, Jill Biden, will go down in history. She's set to become the first Lady to hang on to her own job. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's partner will also make history. Douglas Emhoff will become the first ever second gentleman. Our Catherine Cater-Clifford takes a closer look at the better halves of the new presidential duo.
A new First Lady, and for the first time, a second gentleman. Jill Biden and Douglas Emhoff are going down in US political history. Jill Biden is a 69-year-old teacher, a professor of English at a community college, a post she wants to keep during her time as First Lady.
I'm going to continue to teach. It's important. And I want people to value teachers and know their contribution.
She was 24 when she met Joe Biden. 3 years before, he lost his first wife and baby daughter in a car accident. Jill said yes to his proposal after refusing him 3 times.
Here were these little boys who had lost their mom and their sister. And I had to make sure that this marriage was going to work.
Together, they rebuilt the family. Like her husband, the incoming First Lady has promised to nurture America.
How do you make a broken family whole? The same way you make a nation whole.
Douglas Emhoff hugged Kamala Harris as the result came in. While the couple were out jogging, a lawyer by profession, he's campaigned hard for his partner's success.
My wife, my beloved wife, Kamala Harris, daughter of immigrants, living an exemplar of what is possible, living the American dream.
Good job, Douglas.
He's been at Harris's side throughout her campaign, appearing as her sous chef on this cooking show and intervening on stage in her defense when a campaign event was interrupted. He says he's glad to have put his career on hold for the sake of his partners.
We were a good couple going in, then I think we came out of it like,
The first ever second gentleman, teamed with the first Lady to keep up her day job. The pair make up a revolutionary supporting cast for the 2020 presidency.
Well, we've been focusing a lot on the United States the past few weeks and inside the Americas, but there are, of course, many other countries in the region. From hearty congratulations in Canada to almost no response from Mexico and Brazil, here's a look at how the rest of the Americas have reacted to Joe Biden's win.
Not all leaders across the American continent were in a hurry to congratulate Joe Biden on his presidential victory. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he would wait until the legal challenges under the vote were resolved before commenting on the result.
No tenemos We have nothing against the president, the possible president-elect, currently candidate Biden.
The left-leaning Mexican president's friendly relationship with Trump has been controversial in the country. In 2019, Trump threatened to apply major tariffs to Mexican products unless the country cracked down on migrants at the US border. Obrador's compliance sparked anger among Mexicans.
I think he's somehow holding on to that bond he built with Donald Trump. He placed a very high bet on that bond.
During Trump's tenure, migration policy was focused on security and making other countries bear the brunt of a crackdown on migration. A very different approach is expected from Biden, who's already racked up substantial diplomatic experience in the region. He wants to put resources into tackling root causes that force Central Americans to leave their homes, such as corruption, poverty, and human trafficking. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has also kept silent, though he appeared to take an indirect swipe at Biden.
We just watched a great candidate for head of state say that if I don't put out the fire in the Amazon, he will raise commercial barriers against Brazil. And how can we cope with all of this? Diplomacy is not enough, and when words run out, you have to have gunpowder.
Biden has criticised Bolsonaro's handling of deforestation in the Amazon, and his administration is expected to prioritise environmental issues and human rights in its bilateral relations, which some analysts say would likely complicate relations and jeopardise trade. A much warmer welcome came from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
I want to congratulate President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris. I'm looking forward to working with them both.
Under Trump, Canada-US trade relations took a stormy turn as the North American Free Trade Deal was rewritten. Biden's victory likely means an end to the persistent threat of the steel and aluminium tariffs that Trump imposed on Canada in 2018, though the president-elect is also advocating some Buy American protectionist policies.
Well, that's all the time we have for this Inside the Americas. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next time for all the news from north to south.
It may be a cliche, but we truly are living through extraordinary times. COVID-19, climate change, a global movement against racism. Here on France 24, we want to bring you the human stories behind the headlines. The programme is called The New Normal, and it features original reporting every week from France 24's correspondents all around the world.
The New Normal on France 24 and France24.com.